Depth of field. Look at that amazing. Look at that bokeh back there. Wow. I got some new lights, guys. I got some new lights so I can be a better YouTuber. So today I got two things I want to talk about. The first one's kind of short, and that's Hambini. There's a guy named Hambini who does cycling videos, and he likes to roast the bike industry. And a lot of times the bike industry probably deserves to be roasted. They do a lot of stupid stuff, and he seems to be super knowledgeable about engineering and like mechanics of bicycles and all that stuff. I haven't watched very many of his videos though, because he's just sort of a major jerk. I mean, he says a lot of really rude and a lot of foul language, which doesn't always bother me, but it kind of does when it feels pointless, and a lot of his does feel pointless. He claims to be autistic, which I think he's like saying that almost as if, yeah, see, I can't help acting like a jerk because I'm autistic, which just seems like a cop-out to me. But anyway, I'm not a big fan of Hambini, but I do think sometimes the cycling industry deserves some roasting, and that's kind of the point of this video. I called it, "What is the point of this bike?" Something like that. And let's look at this. This is Bicycling Magazine. My dad gave me this. He still gets it. I used to subscribe to this in the 90s when it was kind of more like a real magazine. They used to have like articles. And nowadays, it feels like you're basically just reading extended commercials for products, and every now and again there's some pretty interesting articles, but I don't really hold that against them all that much, because it's got to be really hard for any kind of journalism to compete with the internet when there's people out there that are just doing it for free, and it's so easily accessible, and they're trying to sell. They have to come up with ways to make money, and I think, basically these magazines have staffs that are like a tenth of what they used to be. I kind of wonder if Zap doesn't put together the entire road bike action magazine and write the entire thing. So anyway, Bicycling Magazine, this particular issue is really bad because it is their buy a new bike issue, and a substantial amount of the issue, big chunk of it, is basically just little snippets and pictures of bikes that they recommend you buy. They call it their Bike Awards 2020. And, I kind of like going through here and looking at some of the new bikes and paint jobs and whatever, and the little write-ups about them, which are completely useless, but still. So the bikes anywhere range from, I think around the cheapest one is around $700 to $13,500. There's two bikes that actually have $13,500 price tags. And that's just a little less than my Honda Civic. And that is completely insane for anybody that's not a millionaire or professional road bike. It's just a stupid amount of money for a bike. But that's not really my problem, because, everybody should be able to spend their money how they want to. If they have $13,500 extra dollars laying around, they want to buy the Pinarello F12 for whatever reason, that's fine. But this is the bike that I have a problem with, and that is the Specialized Turbo Creo SL. I like Specialized. I have two Specialized bikes. Good company. But this is a stupid bike. Okay, and here's my problem with it. And okay, I also have an e-bike. So it's not stupid because it's an e-bike. There's a point to e-bikes. I like e-bikes. I made an e-bike for my wife. I took an old hybrid and bought a motor and a battery and wired it all up, and it's pretty awesome for what it is. It's you could go out and ride with just about anybody on this bike for 40 or 50 miles as long as the battery holds out. It's a pretty amazing thing. You're riding an e-bike though. So my problem with this is it gets me to the point, like, what is cycling about? What are we trying to do here? What is the accomplishment? Because if you just want to go cover ground, there's a lot of better opportunities. There's a lot of better ways you could probably just go cover ground. You could ride a motorcycle, a moped, you can get you a scooter. There's all kinds. You could get a convertible. You could get that stupid slingshot vehicle, the three-wheeled vehicle. I mean, you could go out and cover ground in a lot of ways. Bicycling is about covering ground under your own power. When you finish a bike ride, you can say, I just moved 20, 30, 50, 100, 200, across the country, whatever, all on my own power. Okay, and that's what, to me, that's what makes bicycling unique. You did it yourself. You didn't need an engine and fuel. You didn't need electricity and a motor. You were your motor. So e-bikes are great for people. Like, I built it for my wife because she's got some health issues and issues. She would love to go ride with me, but she can't. We actually looked at getting a moped, and there's a lot of issues when you buy a moped because, you got to like license it and insurance to ride on the street. Whereas you can make an electric bicycle that'll go 25 or 30 miles an hour like mine, and it's just a bicycle. And I think I have about $700 in an entire bike. Zero maintenance other than cleaning it every night or oiling the chains. So e-bikes are great, but they are e-bikes. So the Specialized Turbo Vado Creo SL, this bike is 27 pounds. It has a 250 watt motor, 35 newton meters of torque, and it says that in the low levels the battery will go 880 or 80 miles. So this is essentially a e-bike that they are doing their very best to disguise as a road bike. So here's my question. Why would anybody want this? What would be the point of this? So that you can go, I mean, there's one point I can think of. You want to be a fast cyclist, but you don't have the fitness, you have some other problem. So you buy a bike that looks just like what all the fast cyclists are riding, and you show up at the group ride, and with your 250 watts of motor assist, you have no trouble keeping up or even being the rock star of the group ride. And to me, that's just totally bogus because, again, there would be nothing wrong with this to me if you showed up and you're on an e-bike. And I mean, people are going to know you're on an e-bike, right? But you can buy an e-bike that's faster than this one for like probably $10,000 less. You know what I mean? I mean, you could buy an e-bike that you can rip and shred that is really fast, and you could go on the group ride, and you're going to have a big battery somewhere, and it's going to look more like an e-bike. But, I mean, if you really wanted to go on this, be a fast cyclist or whatever, then there's some work involved. This, to me, feels like a really cheesy shortcut. I mean, like I said, I totally understand e-bikes. I did a ride in Paducah once, and I got in a draft with a guy on an e-bike, and he had the rack with the big old battery on it. He sat straight upright, and he explained to me that he had a back issue, and he couldn't pedal in a aerodynamic position. He had to sit straight up, and that meant that he was really, really slow most of the time, and this was the only way he could really keep up with people in like a group ride situation. And he was going 20 miles per hour, and it was awesome. I just got in a draft with me and another person, and we just had a great time riding with this guy. So again, his e-bike, I don't know, definitely wasn't $13,500. I don't know, I can't remember which one it was, but to me, the only point of this bike, again, there's really only reason for them to make a bike that looks just like this, a 27-pound e-bike that has a pretty weak little motor. Essentially, this is to cheat. Okay, this would be, you could show up at a start line on a race, and you could possibly get away with it. If people, weren't really looking really closely, they weren't familiar with it, they'd look at that, and they wouldn't notice it. So, I mean, yeah, it'd be awesome. I mean, if somebody was going to give me this bike, I'd take it. I'm not saying it's, but at the same time, it would be awesome to have 240 extra watts of power to just pump out whenever you needed it, and that extra torque, and, it allows somebody like me to stay up on group rides easier. But still, it's just like, if you want to do that, get an e-bike that's an e-bike. Don't get a road bike that somebody's hidden a motor inside and a tiny little battery, and charge the price of a small car. It's just lame. That's my opinion. This has been a barn door cycling Sunday roast. Thanks for watching, and see you later.